Because of the same first reason, we now have lesser land under coffee. And related to that, and the most fundamental and serious problem, is that we have an absence of management capital in the country as a whole. Because the ILO in 2021, in its survey, confirmed that our productivity is 150 out of 163 worldwide. And in Africa, we are number 25 out of 53. With that being the average, it is the reason why also productivity in coffee is as low as it is. We had 4, then we are doing 2, which means 50% drop. And that must be reversed. Then we have the issue of aged farmer population. People are getting tired, yet they are doing a very productive thing. It is not sustainable. The next one is aged cropping. We are told that our average crop is 20 years. In Colombia, good example, 6 years. That must change. We have the high cost of inputs. I need not elaborate that. Then use of substandard inputs such as pesticide, seedling. We are told some seedlings will be rotating in a pro box, yet we are supposed to get it from accredited institutions, and even fertilizer. Then we have also the problem of confronting the climate change risks. You all know what climate change brings. It alters the climate on which the coffee was used to grow. So we have to adapt to it. The other one, we have lack of affordable credit, and that was confirmed in the behavior of the other fund. Delayed payment to farmers. When it is delayed, you are given example in Meru that when you do dairy, you get money pap. You do tea, you get money. When you are on coffee, you are not sure when you are going to get. That must change. Then we have the issue of insufficient extension services. And this we are told, both numbers, the age of the extension officers, and even their capability, they need retooling. The next issue is that we have poor adaptation of sound crop husbandry practices and low use of technology. Then we have also a problem of low investment and poor management of research institutions. In fact, our foundation of whatever research is literally stuck. When the funding was removed, it was reduced, they stopped to operate. So therefore, we don't have new varieties of coffee. Just like we have thousands in our neighbor Ethiopia, us we are only having 6 varieties running. Then the last issue is inadequate support at both levels of government, hence ineffective regulation and poor service delivery to farmers. With those 14 problems, as I said, the solutions is reversing that, but I would go straight to elaborating some of them. The first one is that we need to adopt what I would call a Kenyan version of management technologies, which is quite different from technical skills. That's the culture of productivity. This is why our neighbor, Ethiopia, has overtaken us. In 2011, through the initiative of the former Prime Minister Zenawi, he adopted Japanese type of Kaizen, which has helped change the productivity culture. That's why there is more flower farming that side, upholstery, and so on. Now, other issues that we have talked about, radical changes. For example, we are saying that when it comes to the issue of extension workers, instead of babysitting them, say, oh, you know, let county government do this and that, we are suggesting radical issues. The first one is that we need to reverse the decision about the levy. Let the levy be restored. And through the levy, we shall finance research, and this research will go to the extension officers should be placed under the cooperatives, and which means that the county government can second this staff to the cooperatives, let them be managed and financed. Their farmers can pay for them. That is the way to improve, and national government can capacity build them to that extent. The other issues that we talked about is that to increase money to the farmer, other than the coffee alone, they should do diversification. For example, we have bracharia grass which can grow in between, and that can be fodder for dairy the cattle, and so on. So with diversification, you improve your income portfolio. The other issue that is my time up? Oh, then all that we need to mind that the problems you had, we do the reverse of them, and we are done. Thank you for my attention.
Thank you very much, Daktari. Now we have Esther Kariuki to bring us something on coffee financing and profitability.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, and the delegates present. We looked at the issue of coffee financing and profitability, and we decided to look at it across the entire value chain. We wanted to focus on financing every level of production of coffee. The first problem we identified was liquidity problems by the farmers. The other problem that we identified was multiple and uncoordinated sources of funding and financing, the high cost of inputs, and low prices of our coffee. So we proposed some of the ways to, our recommendations was amend the law to expand the scope and allow easy and unconditional access to funds by the farmers. The team proposed that we would consolidate a lot of this coffee financing into one fund that would take care of the entire cycle of the coffee value chain, all the way from establishment of farms, purchase of farms, establishment of coffee, husbandry, inputs, harvesting and post-harvest, all the way to the market. We also said that counties should come up with a fund, like what we have done in with the county value addition units, where the national government is setting up funding and the counties are matching. We also proposed that the farmers themselves to also support the production process through their cooperatives and their circles by establishing funds. So if all those issues are brought together, and also the counties to come up with a framework for attracting funding from private sector into that space. The other level was to address the issue of multiple and uncoordinated funding. I've said it, we said we consolidate all our funds. High cost of inputs, farmers to come together, instead of splitting, to come together and aggregate themselves to increase their bargaining power in negotiating for high quality inputs, and also lower prices. Farmers also to increase production at their level, because it doesn't matter how much you're paid, if your kilos are few, you will still not make money. The next level of financing is at the cooperative level. Here the main issue was governance. It's difficult to finance, and governance is also eating into the profitability of the farmer. Modernization of their processing, aggregating of our coffees. All these issues, we determined that they're affecting financing and profitability, and how to curb that is to promote and enhance good governance, come up with minimum thresholds for what the cooperative should take from the farmer, leverage on technology for increased productivity, design a framework for growth of Kenyan coffee to encourage good agricultural practices, and entrench SOPs in the governance of the cooperatives. Here the team felt that there are leaders that are elected, but they never help the farmers in the farms with even just helping them to do the right thing in the farm. Milling level, high levels of milling losses was identified, poor financing arrangements, poor warehousing and storage facilities, and indebtedness of our mills. And here, what we needed, the recommendations we gave was to reduce our milling losses, proper grading of our coffee, standard warehouse and storage to avoid degradation of our coffee quality. And lastly, the issue of marketing came up. Here the issue was simple. What is eating our farmers' profitability and affecting the financing arrangement is so many middlemen. And we proposed that farmers to have direct access to the market, to aggregate our coffee to increase our bargaining power, separation between specialty and commodity markets, and also branding our coffee along the value chain. And if these issues are addressed, Your Excellency, the team felt that coffee financing and profitability will be manageable and practical. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Esther. We now have Honorable Geoffrey Wandeto to present on marketing.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, all protocols observed. I represent the marketing thematic area, and we had a very robust conversation, and one of the things that came out clear is that our farmers really understand and know what they want. It is only us letting them down at the implementation stage. We came up with a number of points, and I will just go through them very quickly. The first one is we need to establish a minimum guaranteed returns, what they are calling a reserve price, and we even went ahead to propose $1.20 as a minimum, in excluding the cost of production. Number two, we proposed to establish a coffee price stabilization fund to cushion farmers in the event of drastic price fluctuations. It is also, lends itself to the minimum guaranteed returns. Number three, to have a prompt payment of coffee, to farmers. There is no reason that a farmer should wait for 7 months to get his money. In almost all the other commodities, they are paid at least either at the farm gate or at least within 30 days. Number four, to provide a price risk management mechanism to deal with prevalent price volatility. And number five, we recommended direct sales of coffee to basically shorten the value chain. And we have said, let us have a parallel system. Direct, and those who want to go through indirect, they should also be allowed. So kind of liberalize the market so that the farmer can choose the model that best works for him. We also recommended that we identify 5 major trading countries. Where do we think, who are our biggest coffee trading partner? And basically open warehouses there so that we can be able to store our coffee for ease of access to market. We also agreed that our legislators be empowered to get better understanding of the international coffee markets. And here we have agreed with Honorable Farah Mariam that he's going on our behalf to engage the Speaker to ensure that this becomes, some funds are availed so that legislators who have coffee issues can be able to fully travel and understand the coffee market, together with the other stakeholders. We also say that we need to introduce legislation to ensure coffee is paid in dollars and not Kenya shillings, basically to protect farmers from coffee, the price fluctuations. Aggregation and selling of coffee in parchment to benefit from the economies of scale, because we said today every small factory is running its own operations, thinking about its own security, thinking about its own operation, and that becomes expensive. If you were to aggregate all our coffee, warehouse it in a centralized way, we would basically benefit from the economies of scale. In terms of branding, we are saying we need to empower the Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency and give them the funds to create a strong Kenya coffee brand. Once your branding is strong out there, it will be easy to basically attract market and also be easy to attract better prices. We would have also proposed that we revive and fund the Coffee Board of Kenya. This was a very important agency that was let to go down, and it is very important that we fund it, because this is the one that will have capacity building to deal with this complex international market as far as coffee is concerned. The job that we are saying currently has been left to the cartels. To promote Kenyan coffee internationally through joint industry initiatives to create and execute a global marketing agency by involving stakeholders such as growers, leading retailers, roasters, have even brand ambassadors like our athletes. Our athletes are branded Nike and the rest. Why can't they be branded something to do with Kenyan coffee? Ensure that our embassies out there are basically have very, very clear KPIs, especially the ones that are in the big market. They have very, very clear KPIs as far as coffee promotion is concerned. And basically leverage on all these other things that we do, athletics and the rest, to basically promote Kenyan coffee. We also recommend restructuring and strengthening of the Nairobi Coffee Exchange to enhance accountability. And we also welcome having parallel exchanges. I know CS Kuria talked about the Kenya Commodity Exchange. It is something we welcome, so that the farmer does not have only one channel, which then becomes a single point of failure. Let us add, other alternative methods where the farmer can take, his coffee. Review laws to eliminate this cross-ownership that allows one to become a miller, a marketer, an auctioneer, etc. And I think we discussed at length that yesterday, and I know the CS said he is going to sort that out. Develop legislative system to build direct relationship between growers and consumers to ensure traceability and transparency for better returns and improved livelihoods. Develop a code of ethics for these marketers. Review the current model of coffee marketing to encourage local coffee roasting, consumption, and promote and establish coffee shops. And also, borrowing from what the Deputy President said, why can't we promote coffee consumption in schools, in government meetings, wherever we go, we ensure that coffee is also available. Lastly, reinstate the grower marketer license to also include the selling of coffee. So we are saying these growers, let us allow them to basically deal with their coffee. Coffee is over-legislated, and that is why it has so many bottlenecks in the value chain. And the really final one is consider locally manufactured bags. We are told that even bags, there are specific bags that have to be imported, and we also need to ask that we can zero-rate those bags to reduce the cost of production. That is basically what we came up with as a marketing stream. Thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. I was just being reminded that wakati mnatembea ngambo, mubebe wakulima angalau hata kwa sanduku. So don't forget that, honorable members. Now we have value addition and partnerships. The first part will be presented by Regina Mwangi for 3 minutes. And then your colleague is going to take over from there. So Regina, for value addition, and then a partner of yours is going to talk about partnerships. So, Mheshimiwa Farah Maalim, kwa sanduku zenu muwe na nafasi ya kubeba wakulima. Please.
So, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and all protocols observed, good afternoon. Our topic was value addition and partnership number 4, and I'm going to discuss part 1 of value addition and partnerships. So, what to start doing? I'll start by saying that Kenya should brand its coffee as naturally sun-dried and seek additional premium on price on account of this investment that contributes towards more healthy food, sustainability, and environment management. So sun-drying saves Kenyans a lot of electricity consumption, as well as use of fossil fuels to generate electricity, and this has positive impact on the environment and should contribute to carbon credits for the coffee sector in Kenya. So reduced greenhouse emissions helps to stem climate change. So what we should we should start doing, number 1, because of what I have read, pulping stations should adopt wet processing all eco-pulpers where applicable, because eco-pulpers are saving us on water, and primary processing, as we are used to be doing, where we start from receiving the coffee shell from the farm, then we get to the shell hopper, pulping, fermentation, washing and drying, and washing and grading, and finally we dry our coffee. So we should at least provide the eco-pulpers to those people who have shortage of water. Number 2, use of sun drying, and this will include greenhouses, that is more cost effective and ensure quality of the coffee beans. For sure, from Maricala's point of view, when you cap coffees that is sun dried and another one that is dried using electricity, the 2 different coffees have different coffee flavors and they have different classes. So number 3, you differentiate the markets. That is, Kenya coffee market is based on specialty, and however, the government, to explore more markets to enable farmers, use other methods of processing, which include, for example, anaerobic, which is a coffee processing method where coffee is fermented in pressurized sealed tanks deprived of oxygen. This one helps the coffee to produce what we call some distinct acids like lactic acids that improves the coffee profile of that, the coffee profile. So number 4, modernize the drying bed by using metallic drying beds. Most of our factories, that is the wet mills, they use wooden drying beds, and when you are drying the coffee, what happens is that the nets, they sag at the center. So, and we need even drying of this coffee. So we need the metallic drying beds together with the wire mesh and the shade nets to dry our coffee. What we need to stop doing, number 1, is exclusion of women and youth from participation in creating value in the coffee value chain. And I'm happy I'm a woman, so I'm not excluded. Number 2, farmers losing their proprietary rights in their coffee before it is sold, and coffee sales proceeds received. This is what has been happening, and this is what we would recommend it stop. What to continue doing, promoting value addition and branding Kenya as a production and trading center for specialty coffee. This is by wet processing or use of fermentation to remove the mucilage. And number 2, use of eco-pulpers to lower the cost. Number 3 is what we call good harvesting practices. And I would also recommend GAP, that is a good agricultural practices, GPP, good processing practices, and GMP, good manufacturing practices, and also GHP, that is good hygienic practices. Then, let me talk just 1 minute on partnership. We should explore the partnership between the national, county governments, and local millers and cooperatives to establish coffee centers in institutions of higher learning, that is universities or other learning of like TVET institutions or towns. This one will encourage or will promote the local coffee consumption. Number 2, we can also partner with like people like tours and travel agencies, and this one will promote what we call coffee tourism. I had somebody asking yesterday about coffee tourism, and I'll give just one example. In the university where I work, the Dankemathi University of Technology, we have collaborated with these agencies, and when the tourists come to Kenya, they bring them to the university and they are taken through the whole coffee value chain. And also in partnership, we have, for example, we have partnered with Mokoroine Daily, where we provide extracts for the coffee so that they can be able to manufacture yogurt flavored, coffee flavored yogurt. Thank you so much.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President, all protocols observed. I was the moderator of this group doing value addition and partnerships. I have 0 minutes remaining, but let me try. This is more of an interjection because we had a question or a sentence. Cash payment for coffee parchment. And this is coming from the the benchmark study of Colombia, where farmers deliver parchment and then they are paid. But the question is, our farmers deliver what? Deliver the cherry. So we're trying to look at that and say, okay, fine. Since the farmers own the cooperative society and it produces a parchment, then there's a possibility that if we can have a capacity created at that level, they're able to do the grading of this parchment, maybe using the cap quality, and have some level of evaluation and have whoever is taking up this as a miller, even if it's a union, they buy this. But then if it's a union, then it also needs some empowerment, maybe some funds where they can use this. Alternatively, is maybe through financial institutions. After this has been graded, the farmer are able to access some credit is paid to corporate societies, and this money is disputed. Then when the final clean coffee is paid, then they can be able to deduct that amount. Now, what we also need to do is, of course, the other things have been said, so I'll not say the issue of encouraging the local roasting in universities. Now, what to stop doing is to lengthen the process and then also unnecessary overheads, maybe at a cooperative level. We need efficiency. Yesterday, people were talking about governance. And then millers and marketers to stop lending money to cooperatives due to conflict of interest. Maybe if it's unregulated, that's what we are talking about. And then what to continue doing, of course, the two marketing models, the selling of clean coffee should be encouraged and it should be efficient. And the other one is a cherry advance. I think it should be strengthened so that the farmer can step into that to get immediate cash. And the last point is to continue empowering farmers to access the market. You heard that over 11 coffee unions on brokers have been licensed, and Kirinyaga needs a license. So I think we are going to work with relevant agencies to work on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can have Dr. Eliud Kireger to talk about quality.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President, all protocols observed. I'm presenting on behalf of the quality team, and to be able to make the recommendations that I'm going to read, we looked at the factors that affect the quality of coffee, which range from production, management of the crop in the farm, transportation, pulping, drying, milling and warehousing, roasting and packaging. And we have made the following recommendations to ensure the quality of coffee. The first one is strengthen Coffee Research Institute through adequate funding to ensure they produce quality planting material, to ensure that they develop good agricultural practices, and to ensure that they train the extension workers who work with the farmers. Number two is to embrace technology to enhance the quality of coffee processing, digitize the coffee value chain to enable traceability, enhance education and training by investing in personnel and capacity development, establish a quality assurance framework for coffee farm inputs, create a common user facility, especially at the industrial and aggregation parks, establish a coffee quality regulatory framework, promote and regulate coffee certification and verification systems, development of intellectual property rights for coffee producers in Kenya, strengthen Pest Control Products Board to ensure the quality of the pesticides that are used by the farmers, capacity build the farmers on coffee market requirements, especially on the maximum residue levels that are allowable in those markets, because that's what's affecting them so much. Production of packaging materials locally, and establishment of a coffee school to train both extension workers, farmers, and also those people working in the cooperatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kirega. We now have the farmer co-ops and estates being presented by Vincent Marango. Karibu.
Thank you, Excellency. I was moderating the team of farmers, both from cooperatives and the estates, focusing on the critical role of cooperatives, how to strengthen them, and also the challenges facing them together with the estate farmers. There are a number of recommendations, but I'll go straight to what to start doing. The farmers want to rehabilitate and revamp their primary cooperative societies, infrastructure improvement. They want to adopt new and emerging technologies at the pulping stations. They want to increase coffee production from an average of 2 kgs per tree to 10 kgs. They want to promote coffee drinking at our homes and community. They want to have proper farm management extension services. They want to enhance effective communication and transparency on government policies to their members. They want to conduct intergenerational mentorship and training to facilitate transfer of skills through model farmers like Mukarimu. To conduct soil sampling by introducing promoters in their coffee cooperatives. They want government to enhance the pest control board capacity to regulate the type of pesticides used to issue, and also they will be issuing circulars on approved pesticides to their members. Coffee societies want to ensure that coffee is milled and marketed by their own entities, that is their own mills and brokerage companies that they have registered. Both society and estate farmers want to utilize available new KPCU warehouses for economies of scale. They were requesting to return KPCU to the farmers. They want government to enhance security and place heavy penalties for coffee theft. They want to enhance collaboration of farmers. And then coffee unions are committed to employing extension officers and agronomists. And then they want to merge small and unviable societies to achieve economies of scale. They will actually support the coffee census and clean up their coffee registers. To adhere to the 1/3 rule on rotational retirement, put in place mechanism to punish and discipline errant officials in coffee societies. They want to support advocacy for farmer institutions like KPCU, training of elected officials. Estate farmers want to start to aggregate together as a group, also borrowing from the cooperative model. The Coffee Estate and Processing Association, SEPA, want to create their national marketing arm, and they want also to enhance capacity building of those affiliated to them. In terms of SEPA also want to be recognized as a body under the Ministry of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. What to stop doing? Use of odd methods of coffee farming, reliance on odd coffee bushes, intercropping of other crops with coffee, change of attitude that coffee has no money, operating only a Kenya shilling account. They want to open US dollars accounts, to consider coffee farming as a business. They want hawking of coffee to be prohibited strictly and licensing of those buyers be prohibited by the county government. They want to also stop the splitting of society. They want to stop splitting of societies into unviable units and also overborrowing. What to continue doing? They are committed to continue doing good agricultural practices. They want to continue encouraging the youth to take up coffee farming, encourage transitions by educating and creating awareness and allocating youth with bushes to manage. Your Excellency, some of the old farmers in that group said that they will start by way of example, and they're going to allocate their young men and ladies, women, coffee bushes. They want to strictly adhere to the annual budgets, implement demand-driven borrowing to avoid the overborrowing. They want to share market information with farmers for transparency. They promote proper record keeping among their members, involve the legal advice of lawyers when executing agreements and contracts with players. And finally, to ensure contracts are available for members for scrutiny. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. Umesikia hao wamesema no intercropping, na wenzetu wengine wamesema maybe tukipanda tunyasi kidogo hapo katikati, it can be thought of. So we'll think about that. So for institutions, policy and governance, we have Ben Kiplimo Lagat. Karibu.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am presenting on behalf of the 7th thematic group. As you have heard, my name is Dr. Kiplimo Arap Lagat. Ben Cheboy was my financier, so he called me Ben still. And I am the CC in charge of Agriculture and Cooperatives, County Government of Nandi. And Excellency, I am also the chair of the Agriculture Caucus of all county CCs. We captured our issues in 3 sub-thematic areas: on institutional issues, policy and legal issues, and governance issues. And I believe the critical mandate for all of us who are here today will actually be lying largely on this particular thematic